It's my relationship with my father was was very different from what I would presume most people had, because most people never called their fathers their best friends. Most of the people who were my friends were scared of their dad. I mean, every time we were in a friend's house and we heard their father's horn, and I don't know why every father has to horn, especially on campus when there was no gates, but it was like as if I'm back, and that I'm back was something that every father did, and most of the time you would see the trepidation that will hit the kids, either for stuff they did or stuff they didn't do. Whichever one it is, daddy's back. But in my case, it was completely different, I mean, my father was my guy. I couldn't even say that he was my guy because he was everybody's guy. He was not, we were just three siblings, right? So my brother and my sister. My brother's 4 years older than me. My sister's 3 years older. And then there was me. So I was the third of three. Don't call me the last or the baby. I never, but also because my father never treated me like a child. I mean, he would speak to me like a friend to a friend. And so for instance, when my father was passed on, it was a very shocking moment because he was ill on a Saturday and he was gone by Wednesday. And I remember that when they brought me in to the place where they announced to me that, they apparently had been like a family meeting on, how do we tell this one? Because we know this relationship. My uncle said to me that, maybe you didn't know, and he didn't realize I did. So he said to me, your father was not just your best friend. Apparently you were your father's best friend. And just before my father passed on, he had actually told one of my uncles, right, I need you to watch this boy for me. He said, he's the only one, he needs to go to military school. Because my father said to my uncle, I don't know how to deal with him. I just don't know. He's too, whatever he wants, he's going to get. So you can imagine that kind of person. And then one day, they tell me that my father is gone. And they said to me, this was what I was told, that I just jumped and screamed. And literally was as if my head hit the roof. And I don't know how tall the roof of the house would be, but this is an 11-year-old boy, so it must have been so. But whatever it was like as if I leapt up, and by the time I came down, I was out. I can't remember that moment anymore. And then the other thing that was very traumatic for me was that when my father's, when they were going to do the line in state, right, and I didn't want to see his body, because I only wanted to see him the way I knew him. Yeah. And I don't know why I was old enough to know that I didn't want to see that. But somehow one of my uncles, like, you have to come and honor your father, you have to pay him last respect. And I was screaming and saying, leave me alone. But literally, it dragged me there. And then I saw my father and I passed out again. Okay? So 2 times I passed out. But the thing that then happened was that and just very interesting. So my father he died on the 27th of September, and October, first week of October or second week of October, I then had to go and resume in Command Secondary School, Ibadan, which my uncles wanted to be my father's wish, but they didn't realize how broken I was. And so where I would go to Command, and I did resume in Command Secondary School in 1982, and I would cry every day because I couldn't see anything else apart from my father's face lying in that coffin. Nobody could. I tried. There was a time that my cry was not about just the fact that he was dead. It was about the fact that I can't continue. I can't keep up with this. You know what I mean? And what I found out was that somehow over time I learned to deal with it and move on in life. But what I decided was that I was never going to go through that pain again. So I never wanted another father figure in my life ever again. Well, my mom never remarried, yeah? But my uncles were trying to be father to me, and they were great guys, But I was on guard. And I was on guard for every man, right? So I couldn't draw close to any father figure. And so I didn't even want to learn from anybody for the sake of just in case I go and love you and then you leave me again. And I remember there was a day that, my pastor, Pastor Paul Adefarasi, had called me to his house and he said to me, I want you to tell me about your father. And I was like, what? And he said to me, I've been trying to draw you in, but you wouldn't come in. And I think that maybe God must have hinted him that there's something there. So I'll tell you this very special one. So I never could see God as a father. I could see him as God. I could relate with him as God. I could respect him as God, even when I started walking with him. But one particular day, God said to me, I want you to know I'm your father. And I was like, you know what? Leave that side alone. We can't do this. We can't do this father thing. I don't want this father thing. I just want, I don't want to be a son, okay? I just want to walk with you. I want to be a servant. I want to be everything, but I don't want to be a son, And so bottom line was, in being a father, when my sons came, I had a bit of it was a bittersweet thing. One part of me wanted to be the father that I could replay because I really loved and enjoyed my time with my dad. So my sons became my best friends. But I also felt like I was going to leave early. So I believed, how this thing happens, and maybe somehow every time people see you and they think you're charismatic, they think you're smart, you're brilliant, you're a good talker, you're just like your dad, you're just like your dad. And so my dad, the concept of my dad has never left me, but almost always put in the context of good things happening. So anytime I did something brilliant, they will say you're like your dad. But what they didn't realize was that there was baggage coming with that reminder. So one of the biggest baggage that was coming with it was that my dad died at 42. I honestly believed I would never live to see my 43rd birthday.